49ers Tuesday update. To no surprise, they worked out a bunch of defensive linemen today. And I know that we've been talking about Trey Hendrickson. I know we've been talking about Kayvon Thibodeau, Carl Granderson, all these bigger veteran names, but it's not really trade season yet, especially for guys of that caliber. Teams actually have to enter sell mode, but the 49ers are very thin up front right now. Kalia Davis injury, Yetur Gross-Matos injury. They've got to bring in maybe more than one player to help this defensive line bridge the gap between now and whenever they do make a bigger move. So a lot of familiar faces and a couple of new guys. Defensive tackles and defensive ends worked out for the 49ers today. The team also released Jaylen Mahoney, the safety from the practice squad. He's been with the 49ers and then away from the 49ers. He's been up and down like a yo-yo, but the 49ers, with the Mahoney move, the release from the practice squad, will have room to bring in another defensive lineman. And Mahoney, that's only one piece of this equation. The 6 guys they brought in, Jaw Joyner, who's a rookie defensive end, very, very fast player out of the University of Minnesota. Runs that 40 in about 4.7. So Jaw Joyner can really move for a bigger 270-pound edge rusher. Tommy Akingbesote, who's a rookie 7th-round pick, but has been with a couple teams, most recently a practice squad. He's a defensive tackle, about 306 pounds. Those are the 2 players whom the 49ers had not rostered before. Then Shaquille Brown, defensive tackle, Michael Dwumfor, defensive tackle, and Bruce Hector, defensive tackle, all of whom have been with the 49ers at some point this season. They worked out for San Francisco today. And finally, Jonathan Garvin, defensive end, worked out for the 49ers. So I would expect them to sign at least one of these guys, maybe to the practice squad spot that is emptied by Jaylen Mahoney, maybe to another spot. Tomorrow should be a busy day. I'll be back in the Bay Area, and we will be looking at the 49ers roster machinations before practice. They've got sessions on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday ahead of this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I think is the NFL's game of the week. It's going to be on CBS, and you're going to see Jim Nantz and Tony Romo calling the game for CBS. That's the A-team for them, and I think it makes a lot of sense that they would send the A-team to a game between 2 4-1 clubs, 2 teams who are coming off of massive wins against NFC West teams. Tampa Bay was up in Seattle. They won 38-35, and the 49ers were down in LA where, on top of losing Yetur Gross-Matos to the hamstring injury, and he's been the most productive interior rusher for the 49ers. On top of that, Kalia Davis broke his hand. He's going to miss at least a couple games. Alfred Collins came out with a knee sprain. Robert Beal Jr. was still hurt, so he missed that game against the Rams. 49ers need all kinds of help along the entire defensive line. I mean, the loss of Nick Bosa is just where this started, but this has taken on a much more serious turn for the 49ers at all the positions. So that's why I talk about Jeffrey Simmons of the Titans. I'm in Tennessee right now, so this is Jeffrey Simmons territory. That's why I say that a defensive tackle is possible for the 49ers to acquire here ahead of the trade deadline to help the issues on the inside and also by extension help the issues on the outside. I mean, somebody like Jeffrey Simmons ranks number 1 in pass rushing productivity amongst all defensive tackles. And it's funny because Malik Collins and Javon Hargrave, the former 49ers, ranked number 2 and number 3 in the entire NFL. Now, before people take that out of context, the 49ers let those guys go because they were looking to renovate this defensive line, both from a cost structure standpoint and a run defense standpoint. They had to get younger, better run defenders in there, and by large part they did, but the problem is now they've got injuries. So now they've got to find a way to bridge the gap here while some of these rookies acclimate, while guys like Alfred Collins, who's a rookie, gets more comfortable. He obviously was very comfortable when he knocked that ball away from Kyren Williams, but he's also dealing with a little bit of an issue with that knee sprain. So 49ers need bodies up front, and then maybe they take a bigger swing as this month progresses. In the case of Trey Hendrickson, the Bengals today traded for Joe Flacco. He's the number 31 QB in the league in QBR, behind only Tennessee's, or ahead of only Tennessee's Cam Ward. So Flacco is not good. He's 40 years old. It's almost certainly not going to turn around the Bengals' fortunes. They and the Titans are the two least efficient teams in football, but it's a desperation move. It's a last gasp from Cincinnati to see if they can stay in contention, even though they've dropped 3 in a row. They're probably going to lose to the Packers. I would say they also will lose to the Steelers, and then all of a sudden they won't be just one game out of first place. And maybe later this month, ahead of that trade deadline on November 4th, the Bengals will change their minds and turn into sellers. Might be smart to trade Trey Hendrickson, who did not agree to a long-term deal with the team. So you might as well get something back from him if this season is going to circle down the toilet. You could look across the other teams who have not been performing well this year. Obviously, Tennessee with Jeffrey Simmons. Miles Murphy is another name to look at for the Cincinnati Bengals, but you go to the New York Giants with Kayvon Thibodeau. You can look to the Miami Dolphins with Bradley Chubb, Carl Granderson, Cam Jordan with the Saints. I mean, there are going to be a lot of marquee opportunities, potentially, for the 49ers, but you just don't know which teams are going to be in that precise sell mode. That's something that is going to evolve over the course of this month, over the course of October. For the time being, the 49ers need to bridge that gap. That's why they worked out all of those defensive linemen today, both defensive end and defensive tackle. It shows you that the 49ers have needs at both of those positions, not just one of those positions. Both of those positions are needs for the 49ers, and they will work to fill them first temporarily and then maybe with a bigger swing acquisition over the course of this month. Practice tomorrow, San Francisco and Tampa Bay on Sunday. A whole heck of a lot to track. Sunset here in Tennessee. We'll be headed to California next.